You understand advanced English. You follow meetings, podcasts, and films. But when someone turns to you and asks a simple question, your mind suddenly goes quiet. You search for the perfect words, translate from your first language, and by the time you are ready, the conversation has already moved on. Maybe you know exactly what you want to say, but your answer arrives too slowly. Maybe you freeze at work, in a social conversation, or while traveling. If that sounds familiar, Emma, you are in the right place, because this lesson is designed for that exact gap between understanding English and using it in real time. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Talk Grow English. I'm Amma, and today's lesson is different from anything we have done before on this channel. Today, I will guide you through an active listening and speaking journey. You will not simply listen to long explanations. You will listen to realistic conversations. Notice how people react, repeat useful phrases, shadow natural speech, answer questions, expand short answers, and then return to the conversation with more confidence. Imagine that you are preparing for a real meeting, a relaxed dinner, or a conversation at an airport. You do not need perfect English in every moment. You need English that is ready when the moment arrives. So we will follow one simple rule: stay with English. Do not stop every sentence to translate. If you hear a phrase you do not fully understand, listen for the feeling, the situation, and the words around it. Your goal is not to control every word. Your goal is to keep the conversation moving. And if you make a small mistake, let it pass. A conversation is not an exam. It is a connection between two people. Let us begin gently. I will ask you a question, and I want you to answer before you hear my example. The question is, how has your day been so far? Take a moment, but do not translate. You could give a short answer. It's been pretty good. That answer is clear and natural. But now let us make it a little longer. It's been pretty good. I had a busy morning, but I managed to finish an important task, so I feel more relaxed now. Notice what happened. We started with a short reaction, then added one detail, and finished with a feeling. You do not need a complicated speech. You only need to give the other person something they can respond to. Now it is your turn. How has your day been so far? Answer out loud before you hear my next example. You can begin with, "It's been," and then add one detail about your morning, your work, or your mood. Do not wait for the perfect sentence. Start with the English you already have, and let the next words come naturally. Now that you can see the difference between knowing English and using it in real time, let's begin with the small reactions that keep a conversation moving. A simple answer like, "It's been pretty good," can keep a conversation alive. But then, the other person asks a follow-up question, and suddenly You need to respond before you have translated everything in your head. Does that moment feel familiar? If it does, remember this. You do not need a perfect answer immediately. You need a natural bridge that shows you are listening while your mind prepares the next idea. Imagine someone says, "I've started working from home, and I'm much more productive now." You could respond, "That makes sense," or "I see what you mean." Both phrases connect directly to what the person has said. Let's practice. Listen, I've started working from home, and I'm much more productive now. Now react. I see what you mean. Say it again, but let see and mean carry the energy. I see what you mean. Can you hear how conversational that sounds? You are not forcing a long opinion. You are simply showing interest, and that gives you another second to think. Now someone asks, would you ever move to another country? Perhaps you have no immediate answer. That is completely fine. Say, that's a good question. Let me think for a second. Repeat after me. That's a good question. Then, let me think for a second. Now connect them smoothly. That's a good question. Let me think for a second. While you say that, your mind can organize an answer in English. I'd say yes, but it would depend on the place and the kind of work I could find. Notice the phrase, it depends. It creates thinking space and introduces a condition. You might say, it depends on the situation, or it depends on how much time I have. Your turn. Do you enjoy your job? Begin with it depends, then add one reason. For example, it depends. I enjoy the people, but the schedule can be stressful. Keep speaking even if your sentence is not perfect. Let's try another situation. A friend says, I want to learn another language, but I never have enough time. How would you react? You might say, actually, I have the same problem. Or you could add an idea. The thing is, most people don't need a huge amount of free time. They need a small routine they can repeat. Say this with me. The thing is, I need a better routine. Good. Phrases like actually and the thing is are not empty tricks. They are bridges from your first reaction to your real message. Now answer before you hear my model. What do you usually do when you feel tired after work? Start with, to be honest, I usually, or I'm not really sure, but then add one clear detail. A natural answer might be, to be honest, I usually take a short walk. It helps me clear my head before the evening begins. It is simple, but complete, a reaction, an action, and a reason. And how do you prevent the conversation from ending there? Ask, what about you? That small question returns the attention to the other person and turns your answer into a genuine exchange. So when your mind goes blank, do not panic. Use a bridge such as, that's a good question. It depends. actually, or the thing is. Then offer one idea and one reason. You can already recognize these phrases. Next, you will use them in a real exchange and keep the conversation moving naturally. Let's bring those bridges into a real exchange, because the first few seconds of your answer often matter more than you think. Imagine someone unexpectedly asks, "If you could live anywhere for 1 year, where would you go?" You understand the question, but your mind becomes quiet. You search for the perfect answer, and the other person waits. Instead of disappearing into that silence, say, "That's a good question." Now you still sound present, interested, and relaxed. Try it with me. "That's a good question." Again, with a warm, thoughtful tone, "That's a good question." Notice that "that's" and "a" flow together. "That's a good question." Keep the stress on good and question. Now answer the original question. "That's a good question." "I'd probably live in Italy because I love the food and the slower pace of life." Your answer does not need to be brilliant. The reaction phrase gives your brain a moment to find one clear idea. Here is another unexpected question. What is one habit you would like to change? A very formal response might begin, "I require some time to consider my answer." It is correct, but it sounds distant in an everyday conversation. A more natural response is, "Let me think for a second." Say it with me. "Let me think for a second." In natural speech, "let me" often sounds softer and more connected. Let me think for a second. One more time, without rushing. Let me think for a second. Now listen to the full response. Let me think for a second. I'd like to stop checking my phone first thing in the morning. Can you feel the difference? You are not avoiding the question. You are showing the listener that you are thinking about it. Let's make this personal. What is one habit you would like to change? Begin now with, "Let me think for a second." Keep going. Name the habit, then add a simple reason. You might say, "Let me think for a second. I'd like to go to bed earlier because I'm much more focused when I sleep well." Now let's explore a phrase with a slightly different feeling. To be honest. We use it when we want to share a genuine opinion, especially when that opinion may be unexpected or a little personal. Suppose a friend asks, "Did you enjoy the new restaurant?" You could say, "To be honest, the food was fine, but the place was far too noisy for me." That sounds open without sounding harsh. Your tone matters, so let the phrase feel calm rather than dramatic. Repeat after me, "To be honest." Now connect it smoothly. To be honest, I didn't really enjoy it. Try the longer version. To be honest, I didn't really enjoy it, but I can see why other people love it. Beautiful. You are giving an honest opinion while still respecting another point of view. And notice what happened there. To be honest, gave you a moment to organize your opinion, but it also made your answer feel human and considerate. Now, let's put all three phrases into real situations. I'll ask an unexpected question, and you begin with a natural reaction phrase. What is something you would never want to eat? Start with, "That's a good question." You could say, "That's a good question." I'd say insects, because I'm not comfortable with the texture. Maybe your answer is different. That's completely fine. The goal is not to find the perfect answer. The goal is to stay connected while your answer is forming. Here is another one. Someone asks, "Would you move to another country tomorrow if you had the chance?" Begin with, "Let me think for a second." You might answer, "Let me think for a second. I'd probably try it for a year, but I would miss my family." Did you feel how much more natural that sounded than simply saying, "I need time to decide"? That sentence is correct, but it feels more formal and distant in an everyday conversation. If you say nothing, the other person may wonder whether you heard the question. A short reaction phrase quietly tells them, "I'm here. I'm thinking. I want to answer you." Let's practice the rhythm now. Repeat after me. That's a good question. Keep the stress on good and question. That's a good question. Now link it naturally. That's a good question. I'd say I prefer quiet weekends. Repeat. Let me think for a second. Try not to separate every word. Let it flow. Let me think for a second. Now add an answer. Let me think for a second. I'd probably spend the day outdoors. One more, to be honest. I'm still trying to figure that out. Notice the gentle tone. You are not refusing to answer. You are being honest about your uncertainty. Now shadow me. Listen to the whole passage, then speak with the same rhythm and feeling. That's a good question. Let me think for a second. To be honest, I'd rather have a simple life with enough time for the people I love. Again, a little more smoothly. That's a good question. Let me think for a second. To be honest, I'd rather have a simple life with enough time for the people I love. Excellent. You just connected three reaction phrases to one thoughtful answer. Now it's time for a quick response drill. Answer in 1 or 2 sentences and begin with a phrase that fits. What food could you eat every week without getting tired of it? What do you usually do on weekends? What is one thing you like about your work or studies? What is the most difficult part of learning English for you? For that last question, you might say, "To be honest, speaking quickly is still difficult for me, but I'm getting better." Don't translate every word before you speak. Choose a reaction phrase. Give yourself a little space, and let the rest of the answer grow from there. These phrases give you time, but the next step is learning how to use that time without slipping back into translation. So how do you use that little space without translating? You build your response from what is happening right now. There is an important difference here. Translation often begins with a complete idea in your first language and then tries to rebuild the whole idea in English. Thinking in English can be much simpler. You notice the situation, choose one short English thought, and begin there. Imagine that you arrive at the station and see your train leaving. What is your first available thought? It could be, I missed it. That is enough. You do not need to create a perfect explanation immediately. First, connect the scene directly to those 3 English words. I missed it. Repeat after me, I missed it. Now add one natural reaction, oh no, I missed it. And now let the thought grow, oh no, I missed it. I'll take the next one. Did you feel how the answer developed? You began with the clearest thought, not the most impressive sentence. Let's try another ordinary moment. You are choosing between coffee and tea. Instead of searching for a detailed answer, notice what you want and say, I'll have coffee. Repeat that, I'll have coffee. Now give a reason, I'll have coffee. The thing is, I'm really tired. That small phrase, the thing is, helps you extend an idea you already have. Here is another scene. You receive an unexpected email from someone you have not heard from in years. Your first thought might be, that's surprising. Or perhaps, I wasn't expecting that. Both are natural. Neither needs to be perfect, because fluency is not the ability to produce one flawless sentence. Fluency is also the ability to start flexibly. Notice where your thought is going and adjust as you speak. Maybe you begin with, I'm not really sure, but. Then the meaning becomes clearer. I'm not really sure, but I think they want to reconnect. That is advanced communication too. You are managing uncertainty while keeping the conversation moving. Let's make this personal. How are you feeling right now? Answer with one simple sentence. You might say, I'm a little tired, or I feel quite focused. Now add a reason with the thing is. I'm a little tired. The thing is, I didn't sleep well. Or change the direction with actually. I felt tired earlier. Actually, I have more energy now. Your turn again. What would you like to drink right now? Give me one sentence first, without waiting for the perfect wording. Now add one reason. I'd like some tea. The thing is, I want something warm. Good. Your first thought gave you a starting point, and your reason gave that thought shape. And once you have that first thought, the next step is simple. Make it easy to understand, not perfect. Just clear. Think about missing a train. Your first thought is probably not a full sentence in your head. It is something like, oh no, I'm late. That is enough to begin. Then you can add one more idea, The next train is in 10 minutes. So the thought becomes bigger, but it still feels natural. Let's try another scene. You are at a cafe, and you are deciding what to order. Your first English thought might be, I want coffee. Simple, direct, useful. Then you can extend it. Actually, I want something warm. Or, it depends. If I'm tired, I'll get coffee. Repeat after me. I want coffee. Actually, I want something warm. It depends. If I'm tired, I'll get coffee. Good. Keep that rhythm in your mouth. Short thought. Small extension. Natural flow. Now imagine you open your email and see a message from work. Your first reaction might be, that's a good question. Or, let me think for a second. These are real reaction phrases. They buy you time without sounding stiff. Shadowing time. That's a good question. Let me think for a second. To be honest, I'm not really sure. The thing is, I haven't checked yet. Say them again a little faster. That's a good question. Let me think for a second. To be honest, I'm not really sure. The thing is, I haven't checked yet. Now a quick response drill. What do you say if someone asks you, are you free tonight? One short answer first. Then add a reason with actually or the thing is. For example, maybe. Actually, I'm pretty tired. Or I'd say yes. The thing is, I finish early. Your answer does not have to be fancy. It has to move. One more mini challenge. Look around you right now. Say what you are seeing, doing, or feeling in one short English thought. Then add one small detail. I'm sitting here. I feel focused. I'm holding my phone. I'm waiting for a reply. I'm a little tired. I need a break. That is the skill. Not searching for the perfect sentence. Just noticing the first English idea that comes up and building from there. And when that first thought comes directly in English, it becomes easier to understand and easier to extend. Now let's take a small English thought and turn it into a real answer. This is where many advanced learners get stuck. You understand the question, and you know the topic, but your answer is too short. Someone asks, do you like working from home? And you say, yes. That is correct. But the conversation has nowhere to go. So what can you do instead? Use 4 small layers and answer, a reason, an example, and a personal detail. Not a speech or a memorized paragraph, just enough to help the other person understand you. Let's try a normal question. Do you usually check your phone in the morning? A short answer is, yes. Add a reason, yes, because I like to see if anything important happened. Add an example. For example, I check my messages and my calendar. Then add a personal detail. To be honest, I'm trying to do it less. Put it together, yes, because I like to see if anything important happened. For example, I check my messages and my calendar. To be honest, I'm trying to do it less. Hear that. The words are simple, but the answer feels complete. It sounds like real life, not a test. Repeat after me, yes, because I like to see if anything important happened. Again, for example, I check my messages and my calendar. One more time, to be honest, I'm trying to do it less. Now you answer. Do you usually check your phone in the morning? Start with yes, no, or it depends, and add one reason. If you gave only one sentence, that's fine. Add one more now. You are not trying to sound impressive. You are trying to stay in the conversation. Let's use not really. The question is, do you exercise every day? You could say, not really. The thing is, my schedule changes a lot. Add an example. Some weeks I walk every day, but other weeks I barely have time. Then add a personal detail. I'd say I'm more consistent when I do something simple. The full answer is, not really. The thing is, my schedule changes a lot. Some weeks I walk every day, but other weeks I barely have time. I'd say I'm more consistent when I do something simple. That makes sense, doesn't it? It sounds honest and human. In real conversations, people usually do not need a perfect answer. They need something they can respond to. Someone might ask, "Why do you feel that way?" You could say, "Because if the plan is too difficult, I stop after a few days." That is how conversations grow. A short answer opens the door, and a reason lets the other person walk in. Let's practice with one more question. Do you find it easy to keep in touch with friends? You might begin, "It depends." That is a very natural reaction phrase. Build it like this: it depends. If we live in the same city, it's much easier. For example, I can meet someone for coffee after work. But when friends move away, I'm not always good at texting regularly. Now shadow me, it depends. If we live in the same city, it's much easier. For example, I can meet someone for coffee after work. But when friends move away, I'm not always good at texting regularly. Now make it yours. Are you good at keeping in touch with friends? Give me an answer, a reason, one example, and one personal detail. If you get stuck, use this starter. I'm not really sure, but I think. That little phrase gives your brain time and keeps you speaking in English instead of translating. Remember, a longer answer is not just more words. It is a clearer thought, built one small layer at a time. Notice what happened there. You did not need a perfect answer. You only needed a clear starting point, one reason, and one small detail. Let's make that structure feel natural. Question 1. Do you use your phone too much? You could say, yes, but the conversation might stop. Try this, yes, probably. I use it to check messages during the day, and I often lose track of time when I watch short videos. Hear the layers? First, the answer, then the reason. Finally, a personal example. Repeat, yes, probably. I use it to check messages during the day. I often lose track of time when I watch short videos. Now answer this. Do you think technology makes life easier? Start with it depends. You might say, it depends. Technology makes everyday tasks easier, but it can also make it difficult to relax. I can work from anywhere, but sometimes I feel I'm always available. That sounds balanced because you are not forcing yourself into a simple yes or no. You are showing how you really think. And if I ask, why do you feel that way? You can say, that's a good question. Let me think for a second. Try the complete response. That's a good question. Let me think for a second. I suppose technology helps most when I use it intentionally rather than automatically. That phrase gives you time while keeping the conversation alive. Here is the next question. Do you enjoy exercising? A short answer is, not really. A developed answer is, not really. I'm not very motivated by traditional workouts, but I enjoy walking because it helps me clear my head. I usually walk after dinner when the weather is pleasant. Do you hear the difference? You are not simply rejecting exercise. You are explaining what works for you. Now your turn. Begin with not really, sometimes, or I'd say yes, and add a reason, an example, and one personal detail. What about this question? Is it easy for you to maintain a healthy work-life balance? You could answer, I'm not really sure, but I think I'm getting better at it. I used to answer work messages late at night, but now I try to finish earlier and protect my evenings. That answer feels thoughtful because it includes uncertainty, change, and a real example. In natural conversation, I think, probably, and in some ways help you sound honest and flexible. You do not have to sound certain about everything. Let's finish with a 30-second challenge. What makes a friendship strong? Use this pattern. Answer, reason, example, personal detail. Start now. A natural answer might be, I'd say trust is the most important thing. The thing is, friends do not have to agree about everything, but they should feel safe being honest. For example, I appreciate friends who can tell me when I'm making a poor decision. Personally, I try to be that kind of friend too. That answer was concise, but it had shape. So when someone asks you a question, do not search for a long speech. Give one clear answer, then let your thought grow. If you are uncertain, balanced, or personal, that is not a weakness. It is often what makes your answer sound real. And once you give a clear answer, the next skill is showing that you can listen to another person's view. Opinions do not exist in isolation. They become part of a conversation. Imagine a colleague says, "I think remote work makes people less connected." Your first reaction may be, "I disagree." But a natural response does not have to begin with disagreement. You could say, "I see what you mean. It depends on how the team communicates." Notice the balance. You acknowledge the other person, then you add your own thought. Repeat after me, "I see what you mean." Again, with a warm, open tone, "I see what you mean." Now add this, "It depends on how the team communicates." One more time, "It depends on how the team communicates." Good. The phrase, "I see what you mean," does not always mean complete agreement. It means, "I understand your point." That small difference can make a conversation feel much less tense. Let's try another question. Is city life better than living in a smaller town? There is no perfect answer, so begin with a flexible phrase. I'd say city life offers more opportunities, but it can also be exhausting. Repeat that in two parts. I'd say city life offers more opportunities. And then, but it can also be exhausting. Now put the two parts together. I'd say city life offers more opportunities, but it can also be exhausting. The word "but" helps you change direction gently. You are not pretending the answer is simple. You are showing both sides. Let's make it more personal. What about you? Would you choose a busy city or a quieter place? Give yourself 3 seconds. Start with "I'd say," and then explain one reason. You do not need a perfect answer. A natural response might be, "I'd say I prefer a quieter place. The thing is, I enjoy having access to nature, and I do not mind traveling when I need something from the city." Did you notice the thing is? It introduces the real reason behind your opinion. It sounds conversational, especially when you want to explain what matters to you. Now let's practice uncertainty. Someone asks, "Will social media become less important in the future?" You might not know. That is completely fine. Say, "I'm not really sure, but I think people will become more selective about what they follow." Repeat after me, "I'm not really sure, but..." Now finish the thought. I think people will become more selective about what they follow. Together, "I'm not really sure, but I think people will become more selective about what they follow." This phrase gives you time to think, but it does not make you sound weak. It tells the listener that you are being honest and careful. Quick response round. I'll give you a topic. Choose "I'd say," "It depends," or "I'm not really sure, but..." before you answer. First topic. Is changing careers after 30 a good idea? Start now. You could say, "It depends." If someone has a clear reason and a realistic plan, it may be a very good idea. Next topic. Are personal goals more important than financial success? Try your answer. One thoughtful response would be, I'd say personal goals matter more in the long run, but financial security still affects the choices people can make. That is the kind of answer we want: clear, flexible, and connected to real life. And when someone responds, do not rush to defend your opinion. First, show that you heard theirs. Opinions do not exist alone, so let's practice the phrases that show another person you are genuinely listening. Exactly. A good conversation is not only about saying what you think. It is also about helping the other person feel heard before you share your own view. Imagine your friend says, "Remote work is better because I can focus without commuting." You do not have to agree completely. Start with, "I see what you mean." Repeat after me, "I see what you mean." This small phrase creates space. It says, "Your idea is reasonable, and I'm listening." Then you can add your different opinion gently. "I see what you mean, but I'd say remote work can feel isolating for some people." Shadow me, "I see what you mean, but I'd say remote work can feel isolating for some people." Notice the movement. First, connection, then, your opinion. You are not attacking the person. You are simply adding another side. Now try this question. Is city life better than living in a small town? Before you answer, choose a listening phrase. If someone loves the energy of a city, you might say, "That makes sense." Then continue, "That makes sense. Actually, I prefer a smaller town because daily life feels less rushed." Repeat the whole response with me. "That makes sense. Actually, I prefer a smaller town because daily life feels less rushed." Actually is useful because it signals a gentle change of direction. Say it warmly, not as if you are correcting someone. Let's make it more real. Someone says, "Social media helps people stay connected." What could you say if you partly agree? Take a moment. There is no perfect answer. Here is one natural response. "I see what you mean." It can help people stay in touch, but it depends on how they use it. Say it with me. "I see what you mean." It can help people stay in touch, but it depends on how they use it. Now compare these replies. "You're wrong." "Social media is harmful." Or, "I see what you mean, but it depends on how they use it." The second reply invites a conversation. The first can end one very quickly. Let's do a quick response drill. I'll give you an opinion. Begin with "That makes sense," or "I see what you mean," and then add one honest thought. A high-paying job is always worth the stress. Your response starts now. One possible answer is, "I see what you mean," especially when people have responsibilities. "But I'm not really sure a job is worth it if there's no time left for your health or relationships." That answer is strong because it stays calm. You can disagree without sounding cold. One more. People should follow their passion no matter what. You could say, "That makes sense." but I'd say passion and practicality both matter. The thing is, people need enough stability to keep going. Keep that balance in mind. A natural speaker does not need to win every discussion. They listen, respond, clarify, and let the conversation grow. When you show that you understand someone's point, even partly, your next opinion becomes easier to share. That is gentle honesty. Staying true to yourself while leaving room for another person. Good listening begins with small signals that tell the other person, "I'm with you." In advanced English, you do not always need a clever answer. Often, a natural response is simple. "I see what you mean." Say it with me. "I see what you mean." Again, a little smoother. "I see what you mean." This does not always mean, "I agree." It means, "I understand your point. I understand why you see it that way." For example, someone says, "I think working from home can make people feel lonely." Even if you enjoy working from home, you can say, "I see what you mean." Some people do miss daily contact with colleagues. You are not giving up your opinion. You are opening the door before sharing it. Repeat, "I see what you mean, but I've had a slightly different experience." I see what you mean, and I think it depends on the person. Now try another useful phrase. That makes sense. It tells the other person, "Your idea is logical to me." Imagine someone says, "I prepare questions before a meeting because it helps me feel calmer." You could answer, "That makes sense." When you prepare, you can listen better instead of worrying about what to say. Repeat, "That makes sense." That makes sense, especially if the meeting is important. That makes sense. I'd probably feel the same way. Here is a quick question. If a friend says, "I don't like making big decisions late at night because I'm usually tired," what could you say? Try one short answer now. You might say, "That makes sense." It's hard to think clearly when you're tired. Or, "I see what you mean. I'm the same way sometimes." These small phrases make a conversation feel human because you are showing that you listened, not merely waiting for your turn. Now add one more phrase, "What about you?" It returns interest and keeps the conversation from becoming a monologue. Many learners give a good answer and then stop, so the conversation loses energy. If someone asks, "Do you like living in a big city?" you could say, "To be honest, I like the convenience, but I don't always like the noise." That is good, but this is better. To be honest, I like the convenience, but I don't always like the noise. What about you? Repeat, "What about you?" I usually prefer quiet places. What about you? I'd say I'm more productive in the morning. What about you? I'm not really sure, but I think I'd choose the smaller company. What about you? Let's practice the full movement. Acknowledge, respond, and return interest. Listen first. I see what you mean. To be honest, I feel that way too sometimes. What about you? Now shadow me. Close to my rhythm. I see what you mean. To be honest, I feel that way too sometimes. What about you? Again, smoothly. That makes sense. I'd say it depends on the situation. What about you? Your turn. Try to connect the words naturally, without translating each one in your head. Here is your challenge. Respond to this statement with one listening phrase, one personal thought, and one question. I think people are becoming less patient because everything online is so fast. Start with, I see what you mean, or that makes sense. Try it now. A strong answer could be, I see what you mean. Actually, I notice that in myself when a page loads slowly. What about you? Do you think it affects how you talk to people too? That is real conversation. You listened, reacted, shared your thought, and kept the other person speaking. Next, we'll build on this skill and learn how to disagree gently without sounding cold or defensive. Before we move on, let's stay with listening for one more moment. This is where many advanced speakers begin to sound much more natural. You may have strong grammar and clear opinions, but if you do not show that you are listening, the conversation can feel one-sided. Imagine someone says, I've been thinking about changing jobs, but I'm worried it might be a mistake. You could answer, I changed jobs last year. That is not wrong, but it moves too quickly to your own story. A warmer response would be, I see what you mean. That's a big decision. What kind of change are you hoping for? Do you hear the difference? You are not simply waiting for your turn. You are helping the other person continue. Repeat after me. I see what you mean. That's a big decision. What kind of change are you hoping for? Again, more smoothly. I see what you mean. That's a big decision. What kind of change are you hoping for? Now compare three useful phrases. I see what you mean shows that you understand someone's point, whether or not you agree. That makes sense goes a little further. It suggests that their reason sounds logical. And what about you? Returns the interest and invites them to speak. Here's a natural example. Someone says, I don't like working from home every day because I start to feel disconnected. You might say, I see what you mean. Do you miss the small conversations at the office? Say it with me. I see what you mean. Do you miss the small conversations at the office? Or make it more personal. That makes sense. To be honest, I think I'd feel the same after a while. What about you? Notice that the follow-up question should sound like curiosity, not an interview. If someone says, I'm trying to spend less time on my phone, one natural question is enough. That makes sense. What made you want to change that? Repeat. That makes sense. What made you want to change that? Good. Now let's try a quick response drill. Keep your answers short, warm, and alive. I say, I find it hard to relax when I still have unread messages. Your response is, I see what you mean. I feel that too sometimes. Now say it. I see what you mean. I feel that too sometimes. I say, I prefer honest feedback, even when it's uncomfortable. You answer, that makes sense. I'd say it helps you grow faster. Your turn, that makes sense. I'd say it helps you grow faster. I say, I don't always know how to start conversations with new people. Try, I see what you mean. What usually makes it difficult for you? Now shadow this full exchange. I see what you mean. Actually, I feel that way in big groups too. What about you? Is it easier for you one-on-one? Again, with connected speech. I see what you mean. Actually, I feel that way in big groups too. What about you? Is it easier for you one-on-one? That is the rhythm we want. Acknowledge. Add a real thought, then return the focus. Real conversations are not speeches. They are built moment by moment through small signs of attention. For our final role play, imagine a friend says, I thought I wanted a busier life, but now I think I just wanted to feel more important. Respond with kindness. I see what you mean. That's a really honest way to put it. What made you realize that? Say it with me. I see what you mean. That's a really honest way to put it. What made you realize that? You are not only using English now, you are using it to make space for another person. Next, we'll practice reacting when the meaning is unclear or the conversation suddenly changes direction. When the meaning is unclear, kindness helps you stay calm instead of freezing. Many learners think confidence means understanding everything the first time. But real conversations are not like that. Confident speakers clarify. They say, sorry, I missed the last part, or, do you mean? Then they keep going. Clarification is not failure. It is a normal, useful conversation skill. Imagine someone speaks quickly. You understand the topic, but one detail disappears. You can say, sorry, I missed the last part. Could you say that again? That is already enough. Or be more specific, I missed the last part. What did you say after the meeting? You are not apologizing for your English. You are simply collecting the missing piece. Let's use a workplace example. Someone says, we need to circle back after the client signs off. Perhaps you understand client, but circle back and signs off are unclear. You could ask, do you mean we should discuss it again after the client approves it? That sounds clear and confident, doesn't it? You offer your best interpretation, and the other person can confirm or correct it. Here is another common situation. Someone says, "It's not exactly urgent, but I wouldn't leave it too long." They are not saying, "Do it now," but they are not saying, "Take your time," either. So you might respond, "So, you'd like me to handle it fairly soon, right?" Notice what happens. Vague language becomes a clear action. That makes sense in any busy conversation. Clarification can also be more personal. Someone says, "I'm tired of being the reliable one." Do they feel exhausted, used, or invisible? The words may be simple, but the feeling needs care. Instead of pretending you understand, ask, "What do you mean by the reliable one?" Or try, "Do you mean people expect too much from you?" This is where advanced English becomes human. You are checking emotion, not only vocabulary. Listen to this exchange. "I might go to Daniel's thing later, if I'm not completely done by then." You could say, "Do you mean you're not sure if you'll have enough energy? Or you're not sure if you'll finish work?" The answer might be, "Actually, both. I want to go, but the thing is, this week has been a lot." Then you can respond, "I see what you mean. Maybe you can decide closer to the time." That question gives the speaker room to explain. It does not close the conversation. Repeat after me. "Do you mean you're not sure if you'll have enough energy, or you're not sure if you'll finish work?" Keep it smooth, not perfect. Sometimes your own words come out unclear, too. You can recover with, "Sorry, what I mean is." Then say it more simply. "I'm interested, but I need more time to decide." And when you need a moment, say, "That's a good question. Let me think for a second." Now answer this out loud. When was the last time you misunderstood something in English but stayed quiet? Start with, "To be honest, I stayed quiet because." Then make it stronger. "To be honest, I should have asked because." Speaking clearly does not mean never feeling uncertain. It means staying engaged while you find your way forward. That is the skill we are building. You do not disappear when a sentence becomes difficult. You stay in the conversation, ask for the missing piece, and keep moving. Let's make that practical. Imagine a colleague says, "We'll need to circle back once the figures are in." You understand some of it, but circle back is unfamiliar. Do not pretend. Say, "Sorry, could you say that another way?" The colleague might answer, "Sure, we'll discuss it again after we receive the numbers." Now you can say, "Got it. So we'll review the decision after the figures are available." That small confirmation shows confidence because you are checking the meaning, not apologizing for existing. Try this response. "Do you mean we'll discuss it again after we receive the numbers?" Keep your voice calm. You are not asking for permission to understand. You are making sure you understood correctly. Now let's try fast speech. Listen to this sentence. I was going to mention it, but I ran out of time. In natural speech, going to may sound like gonna, and ran out of can move together. You may not hear every word clearly, so what is the key meaning? The person planned to mention something, but there was not enough time. You do not need to catch every sound before you understand the message. If you miss the ending, say, I missed the last part. Then add, could you repeat that? Repeat after me. I missed the last part. Could you repeat that? Good. Now imagine someone says, you should come by sometime. Is that a real invitation or just a friendly expression? You can ask, do you mean this week or just sometime in general? That question is useful because indirect language can be confusing. The other person may say, I mean it. How about Saturday afternoon? You have clarified the intention and the conversation has become easier. Let's try one more. Someone says, you seem different today. That could be positive, negative, or simply curious. Instead of guessing, ask, what do you mean? Or soften it with, what makes you say that? If the answer is unclear, you can say, I'm not really sure I understand. Could you say that another way? Notice how steady that sounds. You are still open, but you are not pretending. Now it is your turn. I say, the new process is a little more flexible, but there are some compliance issues we need to work through. You do not know what compliance issues means. Ask me for clarification. You could say, when you say compliance issues, do you mean rules we need to follow? That is an excellent question because you identify the exact word and offer a possible meaning. I might reply, exactly. We need to make sure the process follows company and legal requirements. You can continue with, that makes sense. What do we need to change first? That is the complete recovery pattern. Clarify, confirm, and continue. You do not stop after understanding one phrase. You use the new understanding to ask the next natural question. Keep that pattern in mind because the next challenge is even more important. When you can recover from confusion, fast English becomes less frightening. Now we'll focus on hearing the connected speech that makes real conversations sound different. Emma, when fast English sounds unclear, it is often not because the words are difficult. It is because the words connect and your ear has to catch the pattern instead of hearing separate blocks. Emma, in real conversation, people do not pronounce every word carefully. What do you want to do? Can become, wadaya wanna do. Same meaning, different rhythm. Does that sound familiar to you? Emma, try both versions with me. What do you want to do? Now let it flow. Wadaya wanna do. Do not push the sounds too hard. Let them become lighter. Emma, imagine a friend calls on Saturday morning and says, "What Daya wanna do today?" You do not need to translate word by word. You understand the intention. They are asking about plans. Emma, you could answer, "I'm not really sure, but maybe we could get coffee." Say it once. "I'm not really sure, but maybe we could get coffee." That is useful because it gives you a natural moment to think. Emma, here is another common connection. Did you get it? In daily speech, it often sounds like, "Did you get it?" You might hear it when someone hands you a bag at a cafe or sends you an important file. Emma, repeat after me. Did you get it? And now, did you get it? Good. Your quick answer is, "Yeah, I got it." Thanks. Say that naturally. "Yeah, I got it." Thanks. Emma, notice that "I got it" may sound almost like "I got it." One sound moves into the next. That is not lazy English. Emma wants you to remember. It is normal English rhythm. Emma, let's try "I'm going to." The careful sentence is, "I'm going to call her." In conversation, you will often hear, "I'm gonna call her." Repeat the clear version. Then the natural one, "I'm going to call her." I'm gonna call her. Emma, now use it in a real situation. Someone asks, "Can we meet at 3?" What could you say? Try this. Let me think for a second. "I'm gonna check the schedule." That sounds calm, natural, and responsive. Emma, say it again with me. Let me think for a second. "I'm gonna check the schedule." You are not translating. You are buying yourself time in English. Emma, quick listening challenge. Hear the full meaning first, then say the natural sound. What Daya wanna do? Yes, what do you want to do? Now say, what Daya wanna do? Emma, next one, did you get it? Full sentence, did you get it? Now answer quickly, yeah, I got it. Thanks. That makes sense, right? Context helps your ear do much of the work. Emma, one more phrase. I'm gonna head out soon. Head out means leave. You could say it after dinner, at work, or when you are ready to go home. Repeat, I'm gonna head out soon. Emma, let's make it a tiny conversation. I ask, what Daya wanna do tonight? You might say, to be honest, I'm kind of tired. I'd say we order food and watch something. That sounds warm, honest, and completely natural. Emma, then I ask, did you get my message? You can reply, actually, I saw it, but I haven't replied yet. Actually gently adds information without sounding defensive. Emma, connected speech may feel fast at first, but you do not need perfect speed today. Listen for the shape. Repeat it, and answer with one simple idea. Next, let's build on these sounds and make your reactions even faster in real conversations. Let's stay with this feeling for a moment. Connected speech becomes easier when you hear it in real life, not as a rule you have to memorize. Imagine a friend asks, "What are you up to this weekend?" Carefully, every word is clear. In conversation, it may sound like, "Whatcha up to this weekend?" Same question, different rhythm. Do not chase every tiny sound. Listen for the whole message. Repeat slowly, "What are you up to this weekend?" Now let it flow. "Whatcha up to this weekend?" How would you reply? You could say, "I'm meeting some friends," or "I'm not really sure yet. I might just stay in." Notice "might just." The words lean into each other. Say it with me, "I might just stay in." That sounds relaxed, doesn't it? Now you are ordering lunch. The server says, "Would you like anything else?" In fast speech, you may hear, "Would you like anything else?" It can sound quick at first, but the situation helps you. You are ordering food, so the question is probably about one more item. Repeat the clear version. "Would you like anything else?" Now the natural version. "Would you like anything else?" A simple answer is, "No, that's all. Thanks." Or you could add, "Actually, could I get some water too?" Say that once. "Actually, could I get some water too?" Good. You are not trying to sound perfect. You are responding naturally. Let's move to work or school. Someone asks, "Are you going to be there at 9?" You may hear, "Are you going to be there at 9?" Listen for the important words, "gonna," "there," and "9." Small words become lighter, but the meaning remains clear. Repeat, "Are you going to be there at 9?" Now, "Are you going to be there at 9?" Your turn. "Are you going to be there at 9?" A calm answer could be, "Yeah, I should be there a little before 9." Say it with me. "Yeah, I should be there a little before 9." That rhythm gives you time to think without sounding frozen. Here is a quick challenge. If you hear, "Did you hear about it?" What is the full question? Yes, did you hear about it? Maybe it is news at work, a changed plan, or something surprising nearby. You could answer, "I did, but I don't know all the details." Or keep it short, "No. What happened?" Short answers are powerful when they invite the other person to continue. The thing is, connected speech is not lazy English. It is simply how words move together when people feel comfortable. "What do you want to do?" is careful and accurate. "What do you want to do?" is more natural and flowing. Both are useful. The goal is to understand first, then choose the rhythm that fits the moment. That makes sense, right? One last response drill. Are you gonna come with us? Answer immediately, "I'd love to, but I'm gonna be busy." Or, "Let me think for a second. What time are you leaving?" That is real conversation. You are reacting to meaning instead of translating word by word. Now your ear is ready. Next, let's train your mouth with guided shadowing. Your ear is ready. Now shadowing can help your mouth move before your brain starts translating every word. You are not trying to copy my accent perfectly. You are following the rhythm, timing, and feeling of natural English. That is the real goal. So, what does shadowing mean? You hear a short line, repeat it with the same rhythm, and then speak along with it when you feel ready. It may feel awkward at first. Your mouth may be late, and that is normal. The thing is, this is training, not a performance. You are teaching your mouth what English feels like in a real conversation. Imagine a busy morning. You meant to leave early, but time disappeared. Listen to this line first. I was going to leave early, but the morning got away from me. It means you had a plan, but somehow the morning passed too quickly. Notice the strong words, leave early, morning, and got away. The smaller words move more lightly. Repeat after me, slowly. I was going to leave early, but the morning got away from me. Again, but let it flow. Do not give every word the same weight. I was going to leave early, but the morning got away from me. To be honest, many advanced learners work too hard here. They pronounce every word carefully, but the sentence does not move. Clear speech matters, but natural speech also has strong words, soft words, and emotion. Here is the reply, I know. Mine too. I had 3 things to do before 9. Listen for the short response. Mine too. It means, my morning got away from me too. Repeat after me, I know. Mine too. I had 3 things to do before 9. Say it once more with a slightly tired but understanding feeling. You are not only copying sounds, you are copying the reason behind them. You may be thinking, Emma, this feels slow. I see what you mean. But slow rhythm practice builds faster speech later. If your mouth cannot follow the pattern slowly, it will panic when someone speaks quickly. Now connect the 2 lines. First, I was going to leave early, but the morning got away from me. Then, I know. Mine too. I had 3 things to do before 9. Good. Now let's make the situation more real. One person asks, Do you still want to meet for coffee? Or should we move it till later? Notice the soft choice, meet now or adjust. Repeat it with calm flexibility. Now listen to the answer. Let's move it. I could really use a quiet hour first. Hear how let's is quick, while move it carries the decision. Repeat after me, let's move it. I could really use a quiet hour first. Don't make could really use too separate. Let it flow together. I could really use a quiet hour. It sounds honest, not dramatic. Say the whole exchange with me now. Do you still want to meet for coffee? Or should we move it to later? Let's move it. I could really use a quiet hour first. Good. This is level 2 of shadowing. You are speaking with the model almost at the same time. Keep going even if you miss a word. That part matters. In a real conversation, you cannot stop every time one sound feels difficult. You stay with the person, the meaning, and the rhythm. Let's add one more line. Your friend says, "That makes sense. We can meet after lunch instead." Repeat it with a warm, easy tone. That makes sense. We can meet after lunch instead. Notice that can is usually soft here. We can meet becomes we can meet, with the stress on meet and lunch. Now shadow the full conversation. Stay close to my rhythm, but do not chase perfection. I was going to leave early, but the morning got away from me. I know. Mine too. I had 3 things to do before 9. Do you still want to meet for coffee? Or should we move it to later? Let's move it. I could really use a quiet hour first. That makes sense. We can meet after lunch instead. How did that feel? Maybe a little fast. Maybe you lost one small word. That is completely normal. Shadowing is not an accent contest. You do not need to sound exactly like me. You are training your mouth to move smoothly from one idea to the next. Now try level 3. Do not repeat my exact words yet. Remember the meaning instead. You had a busy morning. Your plans changed. You need some rest. A friend understands and suggests meeting later. Say your own version out loud. You might say, "To be honest, this morning was hectic. Could we meet after lunch? I just need a little time to reset." Or perhaps you would say, "I'm not really sure I can make coffee now, but later would be great." Both responses are natural because they carry the same feeling. Give yourself a quick check. Was your speech flowing, even with a few mistakes? Were the important words clear? Did your phrases connect instead of sounding like separate blocks? If the answer is mostly yes, you are doing real shadowing. If the answer is not yet, that makes sense too. Repeat this conversation later today, and it will feel more familiar. Your goal is not perfect pronunciation. Your goal is to feel present inside English. Even on a busy morning, even when your plans suddenly change. Now that your mouth is following the rhythm of English, let's test whether you can respond quickly when the conversation gives you no time to prepare. Fast answers become more natural when they are connected to real choices. So let's place this drill inside an ordinary conversation. I'll give you a situation, and you'll respond quickly with a reaction phrase and one clear idea. Don't search for the perfect sentence. Ready? You're choosing a restaurant with a friend. I ask, "What kind of food do you feel like having tonight?" Start with, "That's a good question. and answer. You could say, "That's a good question. I'd say Italian food. I'm in the mood for something warm and simple." Or, "That's a good question. Actually, I'd rather have something light. Maybe sushi." Both answers work. The goal is not one perfect sentence. The goal is to react and communicate. Your turn now. What kind of food do you feel like having tonight? Good. Now, your friend suggests a crowded restaurant, but you don't want to wait outside. I ask, "Should we still go there?" You might say, "Actually, I'd rather try somewhere else. It looks too busy tonight." Or, "Actually, I'm not really sure. We could call first and check." This tips is simple. Actually gives you a moment to think, but it still sounds natural. Here's the next situation. Your meeting is planned for 2, but something has come up. You need to move it to 3. What would you say? Try, "The thing is, I have a conflict at 2. Would 3 work for you?" Or, "I'm sorry, but could we move the meeting to 3? Now respond immediately. Start with, "The thing is," and explain the change in one sentence. Well done. You don't need a long explanation. In real conversations, a short, clear answer is often more helpful than a detailed speech. Let's try accepting an invitation. A friend asks, "Would you like to come over for dinner on Friday?" You can say, "That sounds great. I'd love to." But if you need time, say, "Let me think for a second. Friday might work, but I need to check my schedule." Your turn. You have 2 seconds. Would you like to come over for dinner on Friday? Notice the difference between knowing English and using it. You may know several possible answers, but fluency grows when one useful answer comes out quickly and naturally. Now imagine a small problem. Your friend says, "The printer isn't working, and I need these documents in 10 minutes. What do you say?" Try, "I see what you mean. Let's use the printer downstairs." Or, "Actually, we could email the documents instead." Give your answer now. Start with, "I see what you mean," and offer one solution. That was strong because you acknowledged the problem before solving it. This small reaction can make you sound cooperative rather than abrupt. One last situation. Your friend asks, "Can you recommend a good place for a quiet afternoon?" Start with, "It depends," and give one reason. You could say, "It depends. If you want coffee, try the cafe near the park." Or, "I'd say the library cafe. It's comfortable and usually quiet." Excellent. Now we'll speed things up. Answer before you feel completely ready. Choosing a restaurant, changing a meeting time, accepting an invitation, solving a small problem, and making a recommendation. Keep each answer brief, but make it meaningful. You're training your first response, not writing an essay. Next, you'll connect an opinion, a reason, and a question in one natural exchange. Here comes the final speed challenge. You'll make a choice, give one reason, and ask a follow-up question in one short response. Use this shape, reaction phrase, opinion, reason, question. For example, that's a good question. I'd choose the Italian place because it's quieter. What about you? Notice how simple that sounds. You do not need complicated grammar. You just need to keep the conversation moving. A friend asks, "Should we eat downtown or somewhere near home?" Answer now. Start with, "To be honest." Choose one option. Explain why. And finish with, "What about you?" You might say, "To be honest, I'd stay near home because downtown will be busy. What about you?" Or, "To be honest, I'd go downtown because there are more choices. What about you?" Both answers work. Fluency is not finding the perfect sentence. It is responding appropriately without freezing. Now we'll reduce the preparation time. Your colleague asks, "Can we move our meeting from 3 to 4? Give a reaction, your answer, and one question. A natural response could be, "Actually, 4 works better for me. Should I update the calendar?" Short, clear, and useful. Here's another one. Someone invites you to dinner tonight, but you feel tired. What do you say? You could answer, "That sounds lovely, but I'm quite tired tonight. Could we meet this weekend instead?" If your answer was different, that's perfectly fine. It only needs to fit the situation and sound like you. Let's go faster. Your phone battery is almost dead, and you need directions. Ask a friend for help. Try this. The thing is, my battery is almost dead. Could you send me the address? Notice the useful phrase, "the thing is." It gives you a moment to explain the problem naturally. One more. A visitor asks what they should do nearby. Give your opinion, one reason, and a question. You might say, "I'd say you should visit the local market because it feels lively and authentic." Do you enjoy trying new food? Now combine everything under pressure. You have less than a minute for 5 choices. Trust your first clear idea. Where should we have lunch? Can we meet half an hour later? Would you like to come to a concert on Friday? The Wi-Fi isn't working. What should we do? And what would you recommend for a relaxing weekend? If you answered all 5, even briefly, you practiced an essential advanced skill. Staying present while the conversation changes. Maybe one answer felt awkward. That makes sense. Speed grows through many small attempts, not one flawless performance. Try the 5 prompts once more, but vary your openings. "Actually, that's a good question. Let me think for a second. It depends. And I'm not really sure, but." Keep your voice calm. Fast does not mean rushed. It means you can find a useful response without translating every word first. Real fluency often sounds simple: a quick reaction, a clear choice, a brief reason, and a question that invites the other person in. Now let's place this skill inside an ordinary conversation. Let's put this skill into a conversation many people know well: a busy week, a full inbox, and the feeling that you should still be doing more when the day is already over. Imagine I ask you, "How has your week been?" Don't search for a perfect answer. React naturally. You could say, "To be honest, it's been pretty intense. I've had a lot to deal with." Repeat after me. To be honest, it's been pretty intense. Now add one true detail. Was it a deadline? Family responsibilities? Too many meetings? Or lots of small tasks competing for your attention? How has your week been? To be honest, it's been pretty intense. I've been trying to finish a project, and meetings have taken up more time than I expected. That sounds exhausting. Have you been working late every day? Not every day, but more than I planned to. The thing is, I work from home, so it can be hard to know when work is actually over. That sounds familiar to many people, doesn't it? The thing is helps you explain a reason without sounding defensive. Say it with me. The thing is, it can be hard to know when work is over. When does your workday really end? Is there a clear moment, or do messages follow you into the evening? You might say, "It depends. On a normal day, I stop around 6, but when something is urgent, I keep checking my messages." It depends is useful because life is rarely simple. It lets you show both sides of a situation instead of giving a quick yes or no. Flexible work sounds convenient, though. Doesn't it make life easier? Actually, it does in some ways. I like having more control over my schedule, but I think flexibility can also blur your boundaries. I see what you mean. You can work anywhere, so you start feeling as though you should be available everywhere. Exactly. "I see what you mean" is a thoughtful reaction phrase. It shows that you are listening before you offer your own view. Repeat it naturally. "I see what you mean." Now give a longer answer. Does flexible work improve balance or make it harder? Begin with, "I'd say." For example, I'd say it improves balance when people set clear limits. Otherwise, work can slowly fill every quiet moment. That answer is calm, clear, and mature. You give an opinion, then explain why. You do not need complicated vocabulary to sound advanced. Do you find it easy to rest after a demanding week? I'm not really sure, but I think I've become better at it. I used to feel guilty if I wasn't being productive. Really? Even at the weekend? Especially at the weekend. I would sit down to relax, Then think about all the things I had not finished. Does that touch something real for you? Try one honest sentence. Yes, I sometimes feel guilty when I rest because. Then finish it with your own reason. Maybe you feel behind. Maybe other people expect too much. Maybe you are simply used to being busy. The goal is not perfect English. The goal is to stay with your thought, connect your ideas, and let your voice sound like you. Real conversations are not always neat, especially when work and stress are involved. Imagine someone asks, "What would help you feel more balanced?" A short answer could be, "More time." That is honest, but it may not tell the whole story. Try expanding it. To be honest, I don't only need more time. I need clearer boundaries, so I can stop thinking about work when the day is over. Repeat it in 3 pieces. To be honest, I don't only need more time. I need clearer boundaries, so I can stop thinking about work when the day is over. Notice the pattern. First, you say the obvious answer. Then you explain the deeper problem. That makes your response more personal and more natural. Do you think people are responsible for setting their own boundaries, or should companies do more? It depends. People need to protect their own time, but companies also create the culture people live in every day. That makes sense. But what if someone is afraid to say no? You could say, "I see what you mean, but the thing is, saying no can feel risky when everyone else is always available." Say that again. The thing is, saying no can feel risky when everyone else is always available. It is a gentle way to disagree while still showing understanding. Let's do a quick response drill. Can you stay late tonight? Your first reaction, "Let me think for a second." Are you unhappy with your workload? You could answer, "To be honest, it has been a lot recently." Would working from home solve the problem? Say, "It depends." Do you think rest is productive? Say, "That's a good question." These phrases give you thinking time. More importantly, they help you react in English instead of translating every sentence in your head. Now let's try a mini role play. You seemed tired in the meeting today. Is everything okay? To be honest, I've had a demanding week, and I'm finding it hard to switch off. Is it mainly the workload or the pressure around it? I'd say it's both. The workload is high, but the pressure to respond quickly makes it feel heavier. Shadow that line with me. I'd say it's both. The workload is high, but the pressure to respond quickly makes it feel heavier. Keep the words connected. Let the sentence flow instead of stopping after every word. Now answer personally. What makes work feel heavy for you? The number of tasks, the deadlines, the people, or the feeling that you must always be available? Begin with, "I'd say the hardest part is." Then add one example. I'd say the hardest part is the constant switching between tasks. I can handle hard work, but I lose energy when I never get time to focus. That is the heart of natural conversation. You react, take a second, choose a direction, and add a real detail. When you need time, say, "That's a good question." When your answer is forming, say, "I'm not really sure, but." When you understand another view, say, "I see what you mean." And when a simple answer is not enough, begin with, "The thing is." Keep practicing these small moves. They will help you think in English, respond faster, and speak with more honesty when real conversations become difficult. Once you can answer difficult questions, the next skill is talking about feelings without making your answer too heavy or too long. In real conversations, someone may simply ask, "How did the meeting go?" or "Are you okay?" Yet the honest answer may be more than fine. You might feel overwhelmed, disappointed, relieved, uncertain, or quietly proud. The goal is not to explain your whole life story. Give one feeling, one reason, and sometimes one small image. That is often enough for the other person to understand you. For example, instead of saying, "I am sad because many things happened and I do not know what to do," try this to be honest. "I feel a bit overwhelmed. It feels like everything is arriving at the same time." Can you hear why that works? To be honest gives you a gentle opening. You sound personal, but not dramatic. Repeat after me. To be honest, I feel a bit overwhelmed. Now, it feels like everything is arriving at the same time. Put them together. To be honest, I feel a bit overwhelmed. It feels like everything is arriving at the same time. Say it as though a friend has just asked how your week is going. Now imagine you get unexpected feedback at work. It is not terrible, but it is not what you hoped for. You could say, "I was a little frustrated at first." That is honest. But how could you make it more complete? Try, "I was a little frustrated at first because I thought I had handled it well. But after thinking about it, I can see the point." You name the feeling, explain it briefly, then show a new perspective. Repeat, "I was a little frustrated at first because I thought I had handled it well. But after thinking about it, I can see the point." That makes sense, doesn't it? You are not hiding your reaction, but you are not getting lost in it either. Here is another situation. You miss an opportunity because you waited too long. Maybe you did not apply in time, or you did not say yes when you had the chance. You could say, "I'm disappointed, honestly. I keep thinking I should have moved faster." If you want to add a clear image, say, "It feels like I was standing right next to the door, but I didn't open it." Simple images can carry a lot of feeling without using difficult words. but do not leave yourself inside the disappointment. Add a balanced ending. Still, I'm trying to learn from it, instead of staying stuck there. Repeat that with me. Still, I'm trying to learn from it, instead of staying stuck there. Relief can be quieter. Think of finishing a difficult call, an exam, or a family conversation. You might say, I felt so relieved when it was over. I didn't realize how tense I had been until I got home. That is more natural than simply saying, I was happy. It gives the listener a small, true detail. Now think about your own day. Did your feelings change? Start with, at first, I felt. Then add, but later, I felt. For example, at first, I felt nervous about the call, but later, I felt encouraged because the other person was easier to talk to than I expected. Answer out loud now. Keep it simple. One feeling, one change, one reason. Notice how the answer did not need to be perfect. You named the feeling, showed the change, and gave one honest reason. That is already a real response. Let's make it more personal. A friend says, I got some unexpected feedback at work, and I've been thinking about it all day. What would you say first? You do not need to solve anything. Try, I see what you mean. Unexpected feedback can stay with you, especially when you care about your work. Repeat after me, I see what you mean. Unexpected feedback can stay with you. Feel how it recognizes their experience before offering advice. Then ask, was it mostly difficult to hear, or was some of it helpful? That gentle question gives them space. It also sounds more natural than jumping straight to, what happened? Shadow the full reply with me. I see what you mean. Unexpected feedback can stay with you. Was it mostly difficult to hear, or was some of it helpful? Here is another everyday situation. Your friend says, I turned down an opportunity, and now I'm not really sure if I made the right choice. You could say, that makes sense. Big decisions can feel clear at first, then feel uncertain later. Doesn't that sound warm without being overdramatic? Repeat, that makes sense. Big decisions can feel clear at first, then feel uncertain later. You can add a small connection while keeping the focus on them. I've felt that way too. Sometimes you need a little distance before you can see why you chose what you chose. Try it in pieces. I've felt that way too. Sometimes you need a little distance before you can see why you chose what you chose. Do not translate each word. Let the idea move forward in English. That kind of response may sound simple, but it can make someone feel much less alone. Now imagine someone says, I'm overwhelmed. There is so much to deal with, and I can't seem to switch off. You might feel tempted to tell them what to do. But first, try empathy. Say, "I'm sorry you're carrying so much. Do you want to talk it through?" Or, "Would you rather take your mind off it for a while?" Repeat after me. Do you want to talk it through? Or, would you rather take your mind off it for a while? This works because you do not assume you know what they need. Now make it about your own life. Think of a day when your feelings changed. At first, you may have felt frustrated. Then something shifted. By the end, perhaps you felt relieved or quietly proud. Use this pattern. At first, I felt. Then, by the end of the day, I felt. Because, for example, at first, I felt frustrated because nothing was going as planned. Then I focused on one small task. By the end of the day, I felt quietly proud because I had made progress. Quietly proud means you feel good about what you did, even without attention or applause. And that is a feeling many people understand. So remember, name the feeling, respond with care, and ask one thoughtful question. Next, let's practice how to listen to someone's story and reply with empathy in a fuller, more natural conversation. And when someone shares a story with you, your response can make them feel heard or make the moment disappear. A good story does not need 10 minutes or every small detail. It needs a clear beginning, one moment that changed something, and a real feeling. Let's try one together. Imagine you are telling a friend about a travel mistake. You could say, "Last year, I got on the wrong train while I was traveling alone. At first, I panicked because I had no idea where I was going. But then I started talking to a woman sitting nearby, and she helped me find my way." Notice the shape of that story. You set the scene. Something unexpected happened. You reacted, and then the situation changed. Now add one short reflection. It was stressful at the time, but it taught me not to panic so quickly. That final thought matters. It gives the listener something deeper than a list of events. Repeat after me. It was stressful at the time, but it taught me not to panic so quickly. Again, smoothly. It was stressful at the time, but it taught me not to panic so quickly. Good. Now, imagine your friend tells you that story. A natural response is not just, "Oh, okay." You might say, "That sounds stressful. What happened next?" Or, "I can imagine how worried you felt. Did you eventually get to the right place?" These questions show that you are curious about the person, not just waiting to tell your own story. Let's shadow this response. That sounds stressful. What happened next? Keep it warm and interested. That sounds stressful. What happened next? Here is another useful question. What did you learn from that experience? It is a thoughtful question because it moves beyond the facts. It invites reflection. Now think of your own small story. It could be about a first day at a new job, a conversation you still remember, or a mistake that later became funny. Start with only 3 sentences. Say where you were. Say what unexpected thing happened. Then say how you felt. For example, on my first day at a new job, I arrived 20 minutes early. Then I realized I was in the wrong building. I felt embarrassed, but I asked for help and found the right office. Your turn. Tell your story out loud in 3 sentences. Do not search for perfect words. Keep moving. Now let's make it sound more natural. Add transitions like at first, then, after that, and in the end. You can also add a reaction phrase. To be honest, I wanted to go home. Or, actually, I laughed once I realized what had happened. Try this longer version. On my first day at a new job, I arrived 20 minutes early. At first, I felt prepared and confident. Then I realized I was in the wrong building, and to be honest, I felt completely embarrassed. After that, I asked someone for directions. In the end, I arrived only a little late, and everyone was very kind. Did you hear how the story becomes easier to follow? The transitions give your listener a path, and the feeling gives your listener a reason to care. That is the heart of a good story. You are not trying to impress people with every detail. You are helping them see what happened and feel why it mattered to you. Now, a story becomes a real conversation when the other person shows curiosity. Imagine you have just told me about getting lost on your first day at work. I might say, "Oh no, what did you do when you realized?" That question is simple, but it invites you to continue. Repeat after me. What did you do when you realized? Good. Here is another useful question. How did that make you feel? This is not just a polite question. It gives the speaker space to share the human part of the story. Repeat after me. How did that make you feel? And when the story has finished, you can ask, what did you learn from that experience? That is a good question when someone is talking about a mistake, a difficult moment, or a change in their life. Say it with me. What did you learn from that experience? Let's try a short exchange. I will tell you something, and I want you to respond out loud before I continue. Last year, I missed my train while traveling alone. At first, I panicked because I had no idea what to do. Then, a stranger helped me find another route. What could you ask me? You could say, "Did you get to your destination on time?" Or, "Were you still nervous after that?" Now listen to my answer. Actually, I arrived much later than I planned, but I felt calmer. The thing is, I learned that asking for help is usually easier than worrying alone. How would you respond? Try, "I see what you mean. That must have been stressful at first." Say it slowly. I see what you mean. That must have been stressful at first. Notice that you do not need a brilliant reply. You only need to show that you heard the person and understood the feeling. Let's practice with a different story prompt. Think about a memorable conversation you had. Maybe someone gave you advice. Maybe you spoke to a person you did not expect to connect with. Tell it in 3 sentences first. Where were you? Who were you talking to? What stayed with you afterward? Then expand it. You might say, a few months ago, I had a long conversation with an old friend. We were talking about work, and she asked me whether I was really happy. To be honest, that question stayed with me for days. Now imagine I am listening. I could ask, what did you say to her? Or, did that conversation change anything for you? Those follow-up questions keep the door open. They tell the speaker, your story matters. I want to understand it better. Let's do one more mini role play. You tell me, I used to be afraid of speaking English in meetings, but I started practicing short answers every day. I respond, that's a big change. What helped you feel more confident? Then you could say, I'm not really sure, but I think I stopped expecting myself to sound perfect. And I might say, that makes sense. When you let go of perfection, it is easier to stay present in the conversation. A good story invites another perspective, so next we'll practice comparing ideas and disagreeing without making the conversation feel tense. And that is exactly why disagreement does not have to feel like a wall between two people. It can be an invitation to look at the same idea from another angle. Let's try a familiar topic. Some people say online learning is better than classroom learning because it is flexible and convenient. Do you agree? Give yourself a short answer first. You might say, I see what you mean. Online learning gives people more freedom, especially when they have work or family responsibilities. That sounds open and respectful. But maybe you do not completely agree. Then add your different view. The thing is, it can be difficult to stay focused when you study alone at home. Listen to the full response. I see what you mean. Online learning gives people more freedom. The thing is, it can be difficult to stay focused when you study alone at home. Now repeat after me. I see what you mean. The thing is, it can be difficult to stay focused. Good. Notice that you are not saying the other person is wrong. You are simply adding something important. Let's make it more personal. Imagine someone says, living alone is always better because you can do whatever you want. Maybe part of that sounds true to you. You could say, that makes sense. Having your own space can feel very peaceful, but then you can gently disagree. Actually, I think it depends on the person. Some people enjoy the freedom, but others may feel isolated. Say that with me. Actually, I think it depends on the person. Some people enjoy the freedom, but others may feel isolated. Now answer this question in your own words. Would you rather live alone or with other people? And why? Do not search for the perfect answer. Start simply. I'd say I'd rather. Then give one reason and one small example. For example, I'd say I'd rather live with one other person because I like having someone to talk to after work. Here is a challenging follow-up. What if that person has very different habits from you? You could respond, "That's a good question. I think clear communication would matter a lot. For example, we would need to agree on quiet times and shared responsibilities." Hear how calm that sounds. You did not avoid the problem. You showed that you had thought about it. Let's move to flexible schedules. Someone tells you everyone should be allowed to choose their own working hours. You may feel tempted to say, "Yes, absolutely," but try a fuller response. To be honest, I like the idea of flexible schedules. They can help people manage their energy and personal lives. Then add a careful limit. However, some teams need shared hours so they can make decisions quickly. Repeat after me. To be honest, I like the idea. However, some teams need shared hours. That small word, however, gives you time to turn your thought in a new direction without sounding harsh. Now shadow this whole answer with me. To be honest, I like the idea of flexible schedules. They can help people manage their energy and personal lives. However, some teams need shared hours so they can make decisions quickly. Keep your voice relaxed. You are not trying to win. You are trying to be understood. Next, let's explore a topic that often creates strong opinions: artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence can bring out very strong reactions. Some people say it will make life easier, while others worry that it will take away meaningful work. Imagine a friend says, "AI is bad for society because people will become lazy." What could you say without sounding dismissive? Try this. I see what you mean. If people rely on it for everything, they may stop thinking deeply. Then give your perspective. At the same time, I think it can be useful when it helps people handle routine tasks. Notice the balance. You recognize the concern first, then you added a different view. Repeat after me. I see what you mean. At the same time, I think it can be useful. Now answer this in your own words. Do you think AI makes people less creative, or can it help them become more creative? Let me give you a model answer. I'm not really sure, but I think it depends on how people use it. For example, it can give a designer new ideas, but the designer still needs judgment and imagination. That is a thoughtful answer, because it does not pretend the issue is simple. Here is a slightly stronger disagreement. Someone says, travel is just a waste of money. You can learn everything online. You might reply, that makes sense if your main goal is to get information. The thing is, travel teaches you things that are hard to learn from a screen.